Hi everyone, my name is Jessy and welcome back to another episode of Table Talk, a video podcast series where I sit down at my dining room table and chat about all things life with you guys. In today's episode, we're going to be chatting about how I quit my toxic job and became a full-time creative freelancer. And trust me when I say this has been my most requested video. For some quick context, I quit my job back in November of 2021, and it has been almost 3 full years since I became a creative freelancer and started my own business. With that being said, let's get into the video. So this was unfortunately my first full-time job right outside of graduating college. Maybe if I started at a job with a healthier work environment, then I wouldn't be where I am today. Honestly, no regrets. This specific job that I worked at for about 2.5 years before quitting. I graduated in 2019, so I actually worked at this job throughout the pandemic. This specific business remained open throughout the pandemic because it was deemed as an essential workplace. I never had a true stay-at-home pandemic experience. I was working throughout the pandemic. The actual pandemic itself has nothing to do with how toxic the workplace was, aside from the apparent racism of this one specific coworker. Another instance would be being reprimanded for not knowing how to do a specific task that was never in my training. And when I had stated that it wasn't in my training, HR yelled at me saying that I should have requested for this specific training. Boy, if you don't. And in my eyes, I'm like, that's not my job to know what to be trained for a new position that I've never worked before. Anywho, I think the cherry on top for me was when I tried to request for a personal day for my birthday. They said that I could only get off on my birthday if I worked 10 days in a row. And those 10 days in a row involved 10+ hour shifts. I was in a higher up management position, but everyone there was overworked. Everyone there was treated unfairly. There was no such thing as personal time. If you wanted to request off for something, you had to jump over leaps and bounds in order to request off for something. I could go on and on about all of these other instances that made this workplace so toxic, but you guys get the gist of it. Just overworked, underpaid, not treated fairly. Moving on to some signs that I knew it was time to quit. This job tested me so much that I made a doctor's appointment and had to get blood work done. When my blood work results came back, at that point when the doctor told me that my health conditions were due to being overtly stressed and overworked, I was like, ooh, something is not right here. Something is not right, because not only was I emotionally exhausted, but now I was physically being affected as well. I would just pray all the time and ask, like, what is my purpose? What am I meant to do in this world, in life? Because it's not this. I did not go through what I went through in life to end up at a shitty job that underpays me and overworks me. Like, what is my purpose in life? The more I had prayed about it and the more I reflected on it, the more these spiritual signs started coming to me. One of them being the angel number 1222. Everyone always talks about like 222 or 333, whatever, but 1222 was a specific number that kept reoccurring to me. Random instances where I kept seeing this number, and when I looked it up, I saw that it was an angel number that meant something along the lines of move forward as you are being guided, like you are being guided to a higher purpose. I talk a lot about my feelings surrounding leaving my toxic job and all of the signs that led me to quit in my Great Resignation video, so if you want a more in-depth kind of introspective look on how I felt, go check out that short film. Now we're going to talk about the right timing. And I say the right timing because you need to make sure you have all of your bearings together before just up and leaving your full-time job. For me personally, I knew it was the right timing because at that time I had an ideal living situation where I didn't have to worry about paying rent. I was just paying standard bills and utilities, but I didn't have to worry about rent, and that was the biggest thing. In addition to your living situation, I would also say that making sure you have a solid financial plan is so important. Do not just up and leave your job without having a financial plan. For me personally, I was always good at saving money, so I had an emergency fund built up since I was in high school for whatever reason. In this case, it was an emergency. Like I said, it was affecting me physically and emotionally, and it was just really detrimental to my overall health, and no job is worth your health. 2 major things to consider when you are thinking of leaving your full-time job is definitely your living situation and then also your financial situation. The next steps that I took after up and leaving my job with no real backup plan. Me and my boyfriend, we lived together. At that time, we also lived together. We both felt like I deserved a little vacation to just not work or worry about anything. The 1 week staycation was very much well needed for my mental health and just to like collect myself again and feel like myself again, because that job also very much stripped me of my identity and who I was. During the month period of before before I left my job, I think it's important to say that I was working an internship on top of my full-time job. And this internship was completely remote, paid like very, very, very little at that time, but it was enough for me to get my foot in the door. After my staycation ended, I was still working my internship, but at the same time, I started clocking in and applying for jobs as if it were my job. I probably applied to over 30 jobs within the 1 month period that I was unemployed. This whole process is also documented in my short film video that I mentioned earlier. The process of applying for jobs mid-pandemic was not pretty. It was a lot of rejection emails. There were moments of hope where I would have 3 interviews and pass all 3 interviews, but then hear news that they decided to move forward with someone else. That whole 3 interview process happened to me a handful of times, a couple times, and it was really discouraging, and I had no idea what I wanted to do until a friend from college recommended that I start freelancing just to make some extra side income while I was still applying for full-time jobs. In terms of freelancing sites, I started on Upwork and Fiverr. In addition to Upwork and Fiverr, I later on joined Creatively and Contra, which are 2 freelancing sites specifically for creatives. I started to build these relationships with different clients and pick up more work, pick up long-term work, pick up long-term clients. And at a certain point, I realized I'm making a decent living doing this. In addition to doing all of this, I also started to focus on building my own digital presence. So started to make UGC, which stands for user-generated content. And I would do this using random things around my house, just creating fun videos because I love creative video editing. Like, that is my bread and butter. So I started really getting into that and building my digital portfolio, which was my online presence on Instagram and also YouTube, because I was also vlogging during that time. So now we're getting into registering an LLC. Once freelancing really started picking up, at this time it's officially 2022. Freelancing is skyrocketing. I have 5 to 6 clients. What am I doing with these 5 to 6 clients? I'm doing social media work, I'm doing copywriting, graphic design, anything related to social media marketing. That's what I'm doing. Because freelancing started to skyrocket, I decided that I could do this full time. I can create another video teaching you guys everything that you need to know about registering an LLC if you're curious. I can also talk about some mistakes that I've made along freelancing and registering myself as an LLC, while also talking to you guys about any startup costs that you need to know. But if I were to get all into that, this video would be way too long. So just know that I registered an LLC. This would be my main advice for people when it comes to pursuing your dreams and passions. But something I always love to say in regards to that is that there is no manifestation without action. If I wanted this lifestyle to become a permanent thing for me, I needed to implement some sort of action to continue to pursue this career and really turn my dream into reality. Registering my LLC was a part of holding myself accountable to really make something of myself. I basically did a lot of research, obviously, before registering myself as an LLC, and I found out that most freelancers do operate under an LLC to really help bring more organization into their business, especially in terms of payment and doing your taxes. A benefit of having an LLC is that you can also buy stuff for your business and then later write it off. There were just a lot of benefits that went into registering an LLC. I wanted to continue this lifestyle of being able to work for myself from wherever I wanted, doing whatever I wanted. I knew that in order to do that, I had to start taking myself more seriously. And what better way to take yourself more seriously than dropping money to register yourself as an LLC? This leads into finding your purpose. Everyone's purpose can vary. Some people want to travel the world. Other people want to raise a family and be a good partner or parent. Other people, on top of all of this, want to make a difference. Let me first preface by saying that there is nothing wrong with working a 9-to-5 corporate job, especially if the work environment is healthy, they're treating you well, they're paying you well, and you genuinely like what you do. Working full-time provides you with health benefits, it provides you with PTO, and most importantly, it provides you with stability. You always have stable income, you never have to worry about finances, and that overall stability leads you into fulfilling your greater purpose in life, which is everything that I mentioned before, whatever your purpose may be. Do not leave your job if it is not that bad. Seriously, really think about this decision before you just do it. However, for me personally, my workplace was detrimental to my mental and physical health. And to further prove a point, I found out that everyone literally left after I quit when I was working there, their retention rate was not that great in general. When I quit and realized that I could really make something of myself, that is when I realized that I was not meant to work for the man. I was not meant to clock in and work a corporate job. That's just not for me. If it's for you, that's fine, but it was just not for me. Maybe if I was in a healthier environment, maybe. You will never, ever, ever, ever catch me clocking in again. Like, I love the freedom that comes with being a freelancer. Do I make a crazy amount of money? No. Not yet. But for me personally, the freedom to do whatever I want and the happiness that comes with it outweighs any amount of hefty paycheck right now. If you are considering leaving your toxic job and becoming a freelancer or starting your own business, this is something that should go without saying, but I'm just gonna say it. You have to be passionate about this. Don't just quit your job because freelancing or being your own boss sounds nice. Whatever you want to do, whether that's content creation, being a freelancer, selling a product and owning your own business, make sure that whatever it is that you're doing, you are passionate about it. Like, you are going to put your heart and soul into it, because there will be moments where you fail. There will be moments where the money is not looking great, and you have to be okay with that, because your passion should outweigh your fear of failure and be the thing that keeps you going. Your passion is what is going to be the driving force to push you to work harder and pursue what you want to do. So before quitting, make sure that this is really what you want to do. Ensure that you have a solid emergency fund to fall back on in case anything were to happen, and also make sure you have an actionable plan to get you to where you need to be. To be honest, the whole reason why I started to freelance in the first place was just to gain experience for my resume. I never thought that this was going to be my full-time career or that this would be my lifestyle. But once I got into freelancing and realized that I could sustain myself from doing this, there was never a doubt in my mind during this journey that I should give up on what I'm doing and go back to working a full-time job. Like I said before, I love the freedom that comes with being a freelancer and being able to do what I love to do every day. And hopefully along this journey, I could help some people along the way. So if you're here to tag along, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more inspirational and motivational videos. Like always, thank you guys so much again for watching my video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!